You can maybe explain it. I don't feel so good today, so it's going to be hard for me to go on for a longer period of time. Just some short, simple things.
Сегодняшнее состояние очень хорошо. Мне будет трудно проводить сегодня долго мероприятие. Сегодня он себя чувствует нехорошо, и поэтому просто извини, что, может быть, ему не получится долго говорить.
So if anybody has any questions,
Есть какие-то вопросы? Пожалуйста.
She's asking.
Я немножечко хочу сказать, и потом задать вопрос.
Say something and ask.
Полос, которые пережили все искренне любящие вас, дал множество разочарований. В уважаемых людях и вообще очень много. Что было окружением и фоном, на котором развивалась наша любовь к Богу.
Around who we have developed the love of God.
Но эта любовь к Богу уже была, и желание усилить ее, и какое-то движение вверх во многих повело их по-другому, немножечко по другим, по разным дорогам.
Those who had desire to develop further, they went through different paths, different ways.
Наверное, это хорошо. Возможно, это замысел самого Господа. Хотя я не совсем уверена, что Он так вмешивается.
I'm not convinced that his interference interferes in such a way.
Так или иначе, многие вдруг увидели, что за эти годы появилась эзотерическая литература,
so many esoteric literatures appeared,
которая, можно сказать, приближает к Богу тоже.
Which also
Эта литература особенно привлекательна тем, что она как бы приближена к нам по времени.
literature seems like is more adjusted to us.
Это различного рода челленджи, как с людьми западных стран, так и в России. Это общение людей с вознесенными владыками, такими как Сен-Жерменом, Эль-Мори и так далее.
Local elevated lords like El Moria and
В которых, как мне кажется, даются разумные рекомендации по очищению наших нижних тел, в том числе и энергетического.
Good recommendations how to purify lower bodies, like also energetical body.
Но все это мало связано с ведическими знаниями.
But this is all not so much connected with Vedic knowledge.
И в том числе там говорится о постепенном вознесении к Господу, чего нет в Бхагавад-гите, например, или в других ведических писаниях. Если не считать того, что говорится о поклонении полубогам и вознесении книг. Но далее, как следует из...
Maybe except for worshiping the demigods and the Lord.
Разъяснение Шри-Прабхупады, все равно эти существа должны основа пасть на такую планету, ну, как наша Земля, типа нашей Земли.
According to Shri Prabhupada, those who worship demigods will come back hierarchy.
Кроме того, сейчас появилась в русском переводе книга «Урантия».
In Russian language appeared
Так
a new
называется
book,
во Вселенной наша Земля, как говорится в
which
этой
is called
книге.
Urantia. I don't know if this is the name of the Earth planet, which is used in that book.
Как говорится в этой книге, она составлена корпусом личностей сверхвселенной, которые были направлены на нашу Землю для раскрытия истины о райских божествах и вселенной вселенной. Медленнее.
А долго?
Нет, вот это все.
I think it takes longer.
И там тоже говорится о постепенном вознесении.
There it also says about
Истинно
gradual
верующих
process of
Всевышнему Отцу.
elevating those who actually believe good to the
Хотя там же говорится
God. It also says
и о том, что кто-то остается в пределах нашей Вселенной.
some remain within the limits of our universe.
Вот мне бы очень хотелось знать вот об этом ваше мнение.
Your opinion about this.
И еще один вопрос. Действительно ли только оставление тела во Вриндаване и других святых местах гарантирует возвращение
living body in Vrindavan and other holy places gives the possibility to return back to it.
What am I supposed to say? What's the point? Oh, I'm asking you.
First question is that whether it is true that only by living the body in Vrindavan and other holy places one can go back to Godhead. Is that true or not? And second,
Only by doing it? Only?
is it true that only by living?
Only.
Yeah.
There's no other way. Okay.
Is that true?
Первый вопрос насчет вот вознесенных владык, чем именно? Действительно ли это есть такое общение, существует такое
Я даже не знаю, как
общение?
это перевести. Is it true that those elevated lords,
Ну, Сен-Жермен.
Who?
elevated lords, she's using special terms, there are literatures with some, where some living entities are propagated, whose name is Saint-Germain, and I don't know what, and if they're actually what they say is true.
Well, as far as the question of whether you can only go back to God if you leave your body in Vrindavan or some holy place like that,
Правда ли, что можно вернуться к Богу только если оставить тело в святом месте?
that's also not stated in the Vedic literatures. That's also not.
Об этом не говорится в литературе.
But if you die in a holy spiritual place,
Если вы умираете
then
в святом
sure you have a much greater potential to go back to God.
у вас больше возможностей, как бы больше шансов вернуться обратно к Богу.
But it's never stated anywhere that you have to die in such places to go back to God.
Говорится, что нужно обязательно оставить тело там, чтобы вернуться к Богу.
Krishna is not so, he does not arrange it so that people who live in South America who are poor can't go back to God because they can't afford a plane ticket to Vrindavan. And besides, planes just were invented a short while back. When one has the qualification or whatever one might want to call it to realize the Supreme, then he can go back to Godhead despite his physical location. After all, physical location or physical situation is an external thing.
Это внешнее обстоятельство.
I'm not saying that Vrindavan's an external thing, but
Я не имею в виду, что Вриндаван
if you have the
внешний.
consciousness
Если
within
есть сознание внутри,
of the spiritual connection,
сознание духовной связи,
then there's no restriction whatsoever of what you can attain when you so desire to attain it.
Достичь, если у вас есть такое желание, достичь этого.
As far as these other questions you asked, I can't comment because I don't really know what you're talking about.
Я не смогу ничего об этом сказать, потому что я не понимаю, о чем вы говорите.
I'm not familiar with what you're saying.
Я не знаком с тем, что вы говорите.
But in general, I could say that sure, there are higher living entities.
Конечно, существуют высшие живые существа.
It's just a question of terminology, how you might want to speak about them.
Это может быть только вопрос терминологии, какой тут надо будете использовать.
For example, the Greeks and the Romans, they had their gods.
У греков и римлян были свои боги.
In Persia, they have their gods.
У персов были свои боги.
In Scandinavian countries, they have their gods.
И в скандинавских странах у них тоже были свои боги.
In Iceland, they have their gods.
А в Исландии у них вообще свои боги.
But the general principle is that basically you're speaking about higher living entities in celestial realms who do wonderful things throughout the universe. And you can call them whatever you like, but you are speaking, as far as Vedic terminology goes, with demigods and sub-demigods and their assistants. So it's not that, the truth is so powerful that one finds it in so many places, in so many ways. Taking help of higher entities is, I would say, a very wonderful thing. If those entities are actually higher and do actually help you get to the goal. And you won't know that until you make that endeavor. Therefore, it's very important that you have the awareness of the possible mistakes that could be made. And at the same time, the opportunities that could be taken. One business guru once said, there are no problems, only opportunities. So even if you, for example, connect with an improper personality, but through that, you're able to find your way to a proper personality, then it was just an opportunity. What?
Какие-то промежуточные, потом у нас говорится, что мы падаем, потом на землю, и снова только отсюда можно спастись.
Вы спрашиваете, что?
Возможно ли такая постепенность?
He's asking if gradual elevation is possible or understood, because they say if someone goes to demigod, then he falls back. So is there a way of gradual elevation?
It is not that. It is not that if you go to the what do you mean go? What does go to the demigods mean?
Что вы имеете в виду, когда говорите, shouldn't say, вы имеете в виду, отправляется к полубогам, потом падает?
Да, так говорится.
А что означает, спрашивает, отправляется к полубогам?
If you, I'm not asking her, it's a rhetorical question.
Это
it means that if you are for example, worshiping demigods with a selfish motive,
поклоняетесь богам с эгоистическим мотивом,
or with the idea that they are the supreme,
или в связи, что они как бы высшие существа,
then
вернее, верховные,
you would, after you use up the pious results you have attained,
те положительные результаты,
or your consciousness
результаты вашей деятельности,
is not of the evolving type, or type that's constantly going through progressive evolution,
ваше сознание такое, что постоянно как бы развивается,
then you could fall down, of
тогда вы,
course.
скорее всего, упадете.
But if your contact with such personalities, such as demigods, is such
Если ваш контакт с
that
этими личностями,
it's
таким как полубоги,
helping you advance in your
просто
consciousness,
помогает вам прогрессировать в вашем сознании,
there's absolutely no reason why you have to come
тогда
back.
нет никакой необходимости, никакой причины, почему вам нужно возвращаться обратно.
You just consider the mentality behind such a statement, that you have to fall down.
Попытаться понять тот менталитет, который стоит за этим утверждением, что вы должны упасть.
Now, people, they accept shelter of a guru.
Прибежище у гуру.
Now, they think that by taking shelter of a guru, they're guaranteed to go back to Godhead.
Им гарантируется возвращение к Богу.
But by taking shelter of a demigod, you have to fall down.
Но если вы примените прибежище у полубога, вы должны упасть.
So what they are saying is, the guru is better than the demigod.
Гуру лучше, чем полубог.
You understand that?
Понимаете вы это или нет?
That means that,
Это означает, что
you know, Joe Swami,
какой-нибудь Джо с вами,
who's been a guru for the last 3 years because he got elected in some committee,
потому что он стал гуру 3 года назад, причем выбрали из гуру в каком-то комитете.
he's now better than
Он сейчас стал лучше,
Vivasvan
чем, например, Вивасан,
and Varuna
или Варуна,
and Yamaraj
или Ямарадж,
and Chandra
или Чандра,
and Agni
или Агни,
and Indra
или Индра,
and so on.
и так далее.
Do you realize how foolish that is?
Вы понимаете, насколько это глупо?
Not only is it foolish, but it's incredibly offensive.
Это еще очень оскорбительно.
If you believe in things like respect and
Если вы
offenses,
верите в такие понятия, как уважение и оскорбление,
that is a maha offense.
то это оскорбление.
As if some guru here on earth is inferior to a demigod whose consciousness is so vastly superior to that guru on earth.
Гуру, который ниже богов, вдруг у него сознание выше, чем сознание Бога.
The concept is exactly the same. You're surrendering some person in this universe who is going to help you to go to higher realms, to the spiritual world. Therefore, why do you make a discrimination between who it is that you surrender to? This is in Bhagavad Gita, the mode of ignorance, where you accept a great man as a common man and a common man as a great man. So, therefore, it is not the Vedic philosophy that taking shelter of and getting the assistance of living entities in the celestial realm is a means by which you go lower. That's why in the Vedic literature, in the original 4 Vedas, all of the hymns and mantras and ceremonies were for the demigods, who then would offer those gifts back to Krishna as his representative. Furthermore, if you read in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you find that Krishna says that when there is a relationship, mutual relationship, you know the word symbiotic? It's a relationship where you benefit and they benefit. When you are offering to the demigods and they are helping you in various ways, that this is the most beneficial relationship there is, and it's the one which Krishna wanted to happen.
те отношения, которые Кришна хотел, чтобы происходили.
Can you imagine Krishna is such a foolish God that he puts all these demigods up there who have all the power to control everything, and you're supposed to just neglect them completely and not have anything to do with them, and you have something to do with all these people down here on earth only? It makes no sense. Why also, for example, when Lord Chaitanya was traveling all over India, he was constantly visiting temples of Lord Shiva. You look into Chaitanya Charitamrita, you'll find it at sometimes he was only going to temples of Lord Shiva. And at one point he spent 3 days talking to Shiva and Parvati in South India. Why did Lord Chaitanya laugh at the fights between the Vaishnavas and the Shaivites? He used to laugh at them because Lord Shiva is his expansion. Now, maybe the Vaishnavas are upset with the Shaivites because the followers of Lord Shiva may be in the mode of ignorance. But does that mean that everyone who claims to be a Vaishnava is superior? As soon as you start thinking yourself as a class which is superior to some other class, you're engaged in material designations. And if Lord Shiva is so merciful that he accepts the most fallen, does that mean he is less? They glorify some other personality because he accepted the most fallen people in this modern age, most of whom were doing very abominable activities before they came to him. Quite a few of whom were doing abominable activities when they came to him, and almost all of whom returned to those activities when they left him. And yet Lord Shiva somehow is diminished because he is giving shelter to fallen living entities. I mean, one should use his own intelligence and see through propaganda and see very clearly that those living entities who are placed in this very highly powerful positions should not be neglected or offended. In fact, if you can work with them and take their assistance and help, you might find that that which Lord Chaitanya actually wanted to happen might happen easier. Can you imagine if you start working against the demigods? If the demigods want that and you want something else, how far you think you're going to get? Do you think the demigods just want whatever you want? No matter how full of mistakes and illusions it is? You have to put yourself in tune with them, not that they have to put themselves in tune with you. Did that help? You call, you choose, you do.
Can you somehow describe the worldwide history connected with the advent of Lord Chaitanya?
What?
The last 500 years.
What? The worldwide history? What does this mean?
The history of the human history of the human society and development of consciousness.
After the appearance of Lord Chaitanya?
Yes. And somehow, maybe it is somehow connected or not.
Может, перевести по-русски, я не совсем понимаю.
Я попросил много Вишнупада описать мировую историю человечества последние 500 лет, и связано ли это как-то с приходом Господа Чайтаньи, и связано ли это с развитием сознания вообще в целом человечества.
I can give what I feel is the most significant
Я бы мог
progressions, or shall we say digressions and progressions. No, not digress. Digress means to go to a side. Most significant setbacks and progressions, considering the age we are in, from
привести, как бы, может быть, пример наиболее значимых прорывов, что ли, или
Vedic times up to today.
Отката вниз, что ли, если можно сказать, вот со время с ведических времен до сегодняшних дней.
In a long, long time ago,
Давно
people were all very highly advanced.
люди были очень, все люди были очень возвышены.
And even common people
Даже обычные люди
had a highly elevated consciousness.
Имели очень возвышенное сознание.
So much so that at sacrificial performances,
Что
even common men could see the demigods.
видели полубогов.
Now, even though there were differences in occupations,
Несмотря на то, что были
because
между тем, чем
there was a
занимались,
general level of consciousness which was very elevated,
общий как бы уровень сознания был очень высокий.
life was on a totally different platform than it was,
Происходило на совсем другой платформе.
for example, before the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Например, по сравнению с тем временем, которое предшествовало явлению Господа Чайтаньи.
You find that at the time of, after the Mahabharata,
Например, во время, сразу после того, как случилось Махабхарата,
there was some period, not very long,
был какой-то период, не очень продолжительный,
where things just went on
когда все продолжалось
somewhat similar to the way it was before.
где-то примерно в таком же как бы ключе, как это было до этого.
But then, sometime around, I don't know,
Может быть, где-то в районе
4,200, 4,300, 4,500 years ago,
где-то
And
1300
up to the time of
1300-1500 лет назад, примерно,
of Buddha,
когда явился Будда,
you find that there's a real missing chunk of history.
вы можете обнаружить, что целый кусок истории просто отсутствует.
If you even look at the Egyptians,
Возьмите на посмотрим.
you'll see that long ago they had a really great technology
У них давным-давно была очень высокая технология,
by which they could build these pyramids
с помощью которой они могли построить эти пирамиды.
with all these passageways and energy capturing devices and so on, which afterwards were so lost that the pyramids they built afterwards were rather primitive.
Потом были утрачены.
Pyramids they built afterwards were rather primitive.
Которые потом были построены, они как бы выглядели уже достаточно примитивными.
You'll even find some people speaking about technology from very ancient civilizations of the Mayas or Incas or whatever.
Или есть люди, которые говорят о очень древней цивилизации майя или инков.
Right, I mean, I even saw a picture of something where somebody showed to be a little battery from so many thousands of years ago.
Батарейки, которые было сколько там тысяч лет.
I'm not expert on this field, but all I'm trying to say is that there was a period of something like a historical blackout for about 1,000 years.
Период какого-то исторического, как бы, пятна, что ли, черного пятна, белого пятна, где, как бы, про который никто ничего не знает.
And one could imagine that during this time
что в это время
something happened
что-то
which
произошло,
just brought civilization right back down to the bottom again.
которое просто опустило цивилизацию прямо на самый низкий уровень.
What is this? Huh? What's that sound? Somebody's tape recorder or something? Yeah. So, now, after this period was over,
После того, как этот период завершился,
the beginning of that which appears in the Bible,
начало того, что как бы то начало, о котором говорится в Библии,
historically starts appearing.
исторически начало как бы появляться.
And India, again, picks up with its history.
И опять история начинается в Индии.
But now we have people being very primitive.
Сейчас люди очень примитивны.
People throughout, there were people all over the world in a very, very primitive state.
И люди по всему миру находятся в достаточно примитивном
We
состоянии.
have them in tribal clans everywhere. Tribal clans. Tribes.
Ага, мы находим, что как бы люди живут как племена везде.
And practically they're at the stone age of bows and arrows and
Находятся на уровне каменного века, там
hunting
стрелы,
and gathering
охоты
and
и
simple agriculture.
плодов и простого земледелия.
And then you get people like the Greeks starting to become prominent,
Греки, которые начинают доминировать.
the Romans, etc.
Римляне.
But in all of these cultures, you always have those who were the top of the culture and everybody else was being oppressed with slavery or poverty. Then you get the feudal system in Europe, and you get a situation where things were not very developed for the general class of people. You've also got religions which are keeping down people in many ways. You can go on historically talking about the whole thing, but the general theme is it's not very advanced. Now, you have from the Vedic times, which were very advanced, and then you have this other period, which was not very advanced. And we're also talking philosophically or education-wise, not very advanced. Then Lord Chaitanya appears. In India, everybody who was there gets a good dose of spiritual life and love of God. But around the world, especially in Europe, you get now a new phenomenon, the Renaissance, or the beginning of the printing press, the capacity for larger scale education. The organization of workers into guilds and trades. Scientific breakthroughs in terms of understanding of the universe. People like Leonardo da Vinci figuring out things. And so on and so on. And then revolutions started. You got the French Revolution. You've got Columbus also, by the way, going to America. But beyond that, you've got the colonization of America.
Кроме того, еще и после этого еще колонизация Америки.
You've also got, I'm just mixing things up just to make a big picture here. And then you've got the invention of machines.
Изобретение машин.
And then you've got people becoming more and more aware of things in general than they were before. Then sometime in the 1900s, you've got enormous advances of technology. Technology is leaping and bounding. And communications technologies develop. Along with all these technologies are great developments of medical and psychological advancement. Philosophers are breaking free from the religious boundaries which were keeping them in dogmatic boxes. People were expanding the limits of their existence. And when this is at a very high tempo, Lord Chaitanya decided now it's time to come back into the picture. And that started to increase. But it was again with the same boundaries as before, according to a culture which did not have relevance to all the people. But Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda are for everybody, regardless of what their particular dress patterns or eating patterns or living patterns are. Therefore, again, there is a breaking free of old restrictions, a giving people the opportunity to use that greater capacity of awareness, which definitely does come when you are exposed to a lot of knowledge in the medias. And simultaneously, all of the entities above started in different ways to put messages into people, because all of them are Lord Chaitanya's servants. You know, we hear people talk about demigods. Again, I'm sorry to get into it, but and how materialistic these demigods are, and how you should, not worship demigods or have anything to do with demigods. And if even you do one little puja to the demigods, you're just considered to be, just, a Vaishnava. But these same people should read the Chaitanya Bhagavatam, wherein it's described how all the demigods came to Lord Chaitanya's house, and they were with him, and they took birth as his associates. And do you think that Lord Chaitanya, he delivered all the people everywhere and gave them love of Godhead? But the demigods, he just kept them as materialists who just, swept his front door? Swept his front porch? No. So all those demigods, they went back to their realm, and they waited. And Lord Chaitanya gave them instructions that in the future, when the world will at its own pace at its own pace. The world will, when it is ready,
Когда мир будет готов,
in its own rate of development,
как бы своим ходом он достигнет этого, своим развитием достигнет готовности,
due to my mercy,
по моей милости,
spreading gradually throughout the world,
которая будет распространяться по всему миру,
and giving everybody the
и
opportunity
будет давать всем возможность
to work through the difficulties and the conditioning they face,
как бы помочь преодолеть, будет помогать всем преодолевать все трудности и обусловленности,
to come to the platform where the potential of everyone understanding this spiritual mercy of Lord Chaitanya appears,
всем на тот уровень, когда будет возможно понять милость Господа Чайтаньи,
then to prepare that just before
подготовить
the demigod shall arrange, that people start getting all kinds of messages in all kinds of ways through the demigod servants,
через слух полубогов,
so that a whole
чтобы
cross section
вся как бы средняя
throughout the whole
по
society
всему обществу
will become interested and attracted to the energy of the higher realms, the knowledge of the higher realms,
и знанием высших сфер,
so that
чтобы
the demigods can start
могли
to
начать
really bring about the basic condition required,
как бы создать необходимые условия,
the basic qualities required in all the people,
необходимые качества, которые нужны всем людям,
so that Lord Chaitanya's mercy
чтобы милость
can
Господа
be
Чайтаньи могла,
felt by them again,
чтобы они могли ощутить милость Господа Чайтаньи вновь.
even though Lord Chaitanya himself
Господь Чайтанья
is no longer chanting and dancing personally that we can see in Navadvip.
танцует, как это было видно в Навадвипе.
So, therefore, those same demigods who are not very important
Которые не очень важны,
are actually
на
leading
самом деле
the advancement of the spread of Lord Chaitanya's mission.
распространение миссии Господа Чайтаньи.
And they have chosen various individuals
Различных людей,
who may or may not look like Vaishnavas,
которые могут выглядеть или не могут или выглядеть или как вайшнавы или как по-другому,
in all different cultures and countries,
во всех различных культурах мира,
to bring people gradually
чтобы
higher,
приводить людей постепенно на более высокий уровень,
so that when they get to a certain point of advancement,
чтобы когда они достигнут какого-то уровня развития,
and they do discover the holy names of the
и
Lord,
обнаружат, как бы найдут святое имя Господа,
it will be a very powerful thing.
чтобы это было что-то очень могущественное.
How's that?
Как насчет этого?
Вот в некоторых религиях есть обряд
In some
трехмерной
religions,
смерти,
there
посвящение.
is a certain ritual of трехдневной смерти.
Трехмерной смерти и посвящение духовного.
The 3-day death during 3 days and then some kind of initiation.
В это время душа
At that time,
уходит из тела,
the soul leaves the body
и ей показывают прошлое и будущее нашей
and
земли.
it's shown the past and the future of the earth.
Вопрос в том, что вы можете сказать вот по этой теме, потому что она очень такая сокровенная, и ее могут знать, эту информацию владеет только духовные люди. То есть что происходит с человеком на момент этой смерти, как после того, как вернулась эта душа в тело,
What can
человек
you say
становится
about this?
Богом
Because this is
человеком.
very important and this is only discovered to a very
Он
advanced
начинает
level.
источать свет.
Such a person starts emanating light.
When, at death,
В момент смерти,
when the soul
когда душа
departs from this body,
выходит из тела,
the consciousness of the soul is still aware.
сознание души продолжает оставаться.
But now, without the coverings or shackles of the gross body.
Без покрытия, как были кандалов грубого тела.
And then immediately that consciousness becomes aware
Это сознание
of things
начинает понимать то,
which previously were hidden to that consciousness.
скрыто для этого сознания.
And then that soul becomes aware of how his particular life
Понимать, как его жизнь
evolved
его жизнь,
through his particular choices that he made.
как бы зависит от тех, развивалась через те решения, которые она принимала в течение жизни.
And then he sees the possibilities he has in the future
И таким образом она видит возможности, которые у нее есть в будущем.
and the choices he would have to make to go through those possibilities.
И выбор, который у нее будет, когда она будет как бы выбирать эти возможности.
I think it would be a misrepresentation to say that any individual can see the whole past and the whole future.
Все прошлое и все будущее.
Only God can see that.
Только Бог может это видеть.
One rather only sees that which is relevant to his development.
То, что имеет значение для его развития.
Now that can be quite big,
Это, конечно, может быть много,
but it is by no means everything.
но это ни в коем случае не все.
Now, such a person is not even very advanced.
Не очень-то и продвинут.
That's just the facility given to everybody.
Эта возможность дается каждому человеку.
Because everybody, without the bondage of this gross body,
Который лишен как бы оков этого грубого тела,
becomes very aware.
очень осознает очень много.
However, everybody's got his basic desire,
У каждого есть основное желание,
which is rooted in his ahankara.
которое коренится в его аханкаре.
Now, ahankara, this is the principle where
Аханкара — это
our
принцип, который
desire embraces a form of consciousness
желание как бы принимает то сознание, ту форму сознания,
which is guiding us through our development, body after body, life after life.
как бы наше развитие из одного тела в другое, из одной жизни в другую.
Now, to just translate it as false ego is a very limiting translation.
Просто переводить это как ложное эго — это достаточно ограничивающий перевод.
Because this ahankara is
Аханкар
what we have
—
chosen
что мы выбрали,
to be our guiding principle
чтобы оно было нашим как бы гидом
for what we wish to accomplish
в том, чего мы хотим достичь
in our travel through
в
existence.
нашем путешествии в этом мире.
And each of us, therefore, are colored
Поэтому каждый из нас окрашен
by that choice,
этим выбором,
which manifests
который проявляется
in particular sub-choices or how to say
в выборах, решениях,
momentary decisions that we make.
единовременных решений, которые мы
Our value structure
наша система ценностей
is very much based
очень основана
on that basic
на этом
existence or basic choice,
основном выборе, что ли.
or shall we say that which we find compatible with our bottom desire,
Что мы как бы очень сильно
basic
пытаемся,
desire.
как бы, или очень гармонирует с нашим основным как бы выбором, основным желанием.
And that carries us through
И это ведет нас,
lifetime after lifetime.
как бы сопровождает нас из жизни в жизнь.
Therefore, those who, even though becoming very aware,
Даже несмотря на то, что становятся
at
очень
death,
осознающими в момент смерти,
those who have such ahankara,
имеют такой аханкар,
and that's almost everybody on the material world,
все в материальном мире,
they go in a future direction,
они направляются как бы в будущее свое,
which is very much in tune
которое очень
with their particular
совпадает
means of identifying themselves by that ahankara, even though they have the potential to see better. Now, even though they know they suffered because of that, there is always the hope that next time they'll do it better. Which is one of the reasons why babies have such an enormous optimism about them. It is actually the basic illusion which Krishna allows us to have so we can satisfy our desires. But one doesn't realize how, because he is not knowing everything, he does not realize how he can get entangled in that trying to fulfill his life's direction according to that identity he has. Just like there's an example. Let's say you meet somebody beautiful. Your desire is to become connected with them. But you don't know what will happen when you do that. Because your awareness and knowledge is not infinite. It is limited. Because we are limited. Now, sometimes you get entangled in things which cause you trouble. And you could not actually foresee that. There's another thing that can happen too. You see in that aware state that you've got a problem. Now, everybody knows that when they place themselves in a certain environment or circumstances, they get in trouble. Therefore, people always avoid certain environments and circumstances. Because they get in trouble when they enter into such environments and circumstances. I know that in my life too. And I'm sure it's the same for everybody. Now, sometimes somebody places himself purposefully in such a circumstance so that he has to become freed from the attachment to it so that he can go further. And that is the beauty of free will. You know, attachment is born of that ahankara. And despite the fact that you know something's wrong, because that ahankara is born of the desire of the soul, it's very powerful spiritually, and it is very, very difficult to give up. You can do it if you have full connection with Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityananda. Otherwise, you've got to go through your experiences in this school called life. And just like people, they take courses in the universities to learn things they don't know.
по тем предметам, которые они не знают.
Similarly, some people, they accept life experiences
Принимают как бы жизненный опыт,
which are unpleasant
которые могут, может быть, и не очень приятны.
or seemingly counterproductive to their own enjoyment
И может показаться совсем непродуктивным.
for the sake of learning something
Ради того, чтобы научиться чему-то,
they wouldn't ordinarily learn.
они обычно, в общем-то, и не... Обычно бы не учились.
And look, you've got also your yogis who do the same thing.
Вы можете взять пример йоги, которые то же самое делают. Йоги.
They go out in the freezing cold,
Они выходят на мороз,
they go sit in a thorn bush,
садятся на колючки
they fast,
или постятся.
you know, they do all these things
Они все это делают.
because they're doing the exact same thing.
Они делают то же самое.
But they are much stronger
Но они гораздо сильнее.
and their learning is much faster.
И учатся они быстрее.
But if in the performance of all these austerities
Но если при совершении всех этих аскез
they don't come to the connection
они не переходят
with the goal of the austerity,
к цели своих аскез,
which is not to gain mystic power,
которая заключается не в том, чтобы получить мистическую
but
силу,
which is to learn the lesson of detachment and attachment to the spiritual energy,
и привязанности к духовной энергии,
their lesson is rather limited. That which they learn from their lesson is rather
они
limited.
научились через эти уроки очень ограниченно.
You always come back to the same point.
Вы все время возвращаетесь в одно и то же место.
You've got to really realize what you've got to go through and
Вам
understand
нужно понять, через что вам нужно пройти и понять,
according to what you need to realize,
в соответствии с тем, что вам нужно осознать.
which will be the unraveling of the knot of your ahankara, the unraveling, the loosening and taking apart the knot that is in your
То, что поможет вам развязать тот узел, который находится в вашем
heart, so that you can actually gain that position which you'll never give up.
Получить такое положение, которое вы никогда не оставите.
Again, that could be done simply by Lord Chaitanya doing it for you, or you can do it yourself, or a combination of the two, or the demigods helping you.
Или вы сами можете это сделать, или сочетанием этих двух, или полубоги могли бы вам помочь.
He has more to say.
Да, я просто не добавил немножечко. Я имею в виду, что после этого обряда фараоны становились фараонами, боголюбви.
After such a ritual, pharaohs, yeah?
Huh?
Pharaohs?
What?
Egyptian
Pharaohs.
pharaohs.
Yeah.
Pharaohs would become pharaohs.
Pharaohs would become pharaohs.
Yeah.
Yes, so? What's the point?
Ну и что?
Так вот я и спрашивал в общем-то, вот вашей духовной традиции, что об этом известно, об этой смерти духовной, физической и духовного возвращения Бога человека.
Ну вот это вот в этой сложной, как бы, философской.
What does he mean to? What does he want to say or no?
I wanted to know what in your tradition, what does it say about it?
What is my tradition?
А какую вашу традицию вы имеете в виду? Какая традиция у нас?
Это было принято в ведической традиции у христиан, фараонов во времена правления фараонов.
Huh?
Здесь сейчас
Uh-huh.
Фараон проходил вот этот обряд.
Maybe you could say something to him.
В принципе, я думаю, что вот он, если вы хорошо бы подумаете, может, послушаете кассету, может, там есть ответ на ваш вопрос.
You know, if you please don't think that I represent a tradition.
Пожалуйста, не думайте, что я представляю какую-то традицию.
I'm pretty untraditional fellow
Я
nowadays.
вообще очень нетрадиционный человек в данный момент.
What I'm doing
То, что я делаю,
is that I'm trying to take the truth,
я просто пытаюсь найти истину,
wherever it may be,
где бы она ни была,
without being bound by tradition.
при этом не привязываясь к какой-то традиции.
Truth is more important than tradition.
Понимаете, истина более важна, чем традиция.
Truth is more important than rituals.
И она более важна, чем ритуалы.
Truth is more important than formulas.
И истина более важна, чем формулы.
Haribol.
Если может быть, я не услышала, но правильно ли я поняла, что любой выбор, который мы делаем, он правильный, несет определенную реализацию.
I mean, when I told her yesterday? When I spoke to her yesterday? When I told her to not be afraid to make the step? Well, it's like this. It depends on what you define as right. If you make this big definition, this is right, and yet it's not right for you, does that make it less right? Or if you do something else, does that make it less right? I'm not trying to say that everything you do is right. Because first of all, I'm not even sure what that right is. You look even in the Mahabharata, everybody thinks they're doing right. What right is simply whatever's supposed to be. I mean, what else could be right? Look at Bhishma Dev. Look at Dronacharya. Look at Karna. Look at Ashwatthama. All these things, you know? All the things that happened to them. I could go through hours of discussing these personalities. People who did things which were wrong, but it was what was supposed to be. Therefore, it was right. Can you imagine doing the wrong thing is right? Therefore, I feel that using words like right and wrong, when you are in a relative position, is risky. Because truth is relative when you're dealing on that platform. It's not right to kill another. But sometimes it is right. Even when it's wrong. It's obvious, isn't it? I don't have to explain it. Because what's right and what's wrong, these things change according to circumstances. Now, therefore, you should speak in terms of what's best. It might not be right in the absolute sense, whatever that is, for you to make a wrong step. But it might be the best thing for you to do. Because you also might learn from that. And then make the right step. Which simply means the best thing for you. Which simply means that which Krishna wants for you. Which means what's supposed to be. As soon as you accept that Krishna is all loving, as soon as you accept that Radha and Krishna want the best for all of their living entities, then immediately you understand that taking steps forward to doing what's best for us is exactly what's supposed to be. It means taking the steps forward to doing what's best for us is exactly what's supposed to be.
Делать шаги, направленные на то, чтобы принести нам максимальное благо, это есть делать то, что должно случиться.
Just like what happened to me, or what I did, however you want to see it. Was that right? Right. Some people say it was wrong. Some people say it was great. Some people say this philosophy is like this. But what's best for me, some people don't care. But I care. And Gaura-Nitai and Radha and Krishna care. Therefore, some highly advanced mystical, psychic, spiritual people say, what took you so long? Here we have a group saying it's wrong, and here we have a group saying, why didn't you do it sooner? It's so obviously right. Why did you wait? And the answer I give them is, I'm a very dutiful person. When I take a responsibility, heaven and hell have to battle to get me out of that. That's my nature. When I take it, I take it. And I'm going to die doing it. Maybe that's why I had to change, because that's what happened. That's why I didn't get out sooner to do what was right. I think, though, that dutiful nature is, for me anyway, a good thing. Because I always want to do what I'm supposed to do. Unfortunately, I'm not always intelligent enough to understand that being overly attached to duty is counterproductive. Because for individual development of me anyway, the constant throwing off of old, stagnant things and the acceptance of the new is an essential part of my personality. But that which is new is not something which is newly concocted. It's just getting back to the core essence of reality, which is the spiritual energy. So, therefore, what's right, what's wrong? That you have to be really smart to see. And you may not even see, even if you're really smart. Therefore, just do what is meant to be. I guess that's right.
Давай.
Я хотел обратиться к вчерашнему.
I would like to come back to yesterday's question. Я не слышу. Можно громче? Громче можно.
Вчера достаточно подробно объяснено, как энергия Господа развивается.
How God's energy spreads
Меня интересует вопрос, скажите, пожалуйста, вот мы, чтобы поклоняться Господу, мы должны
worship the Lord.
пригласить Господа, чтобы Он пришел сюда и
So that He
имел
comes here.
наше служение. То есть божества.
Я не слышу.
То есть мы должны пригласить Господа
We
для
have
того, чтобы
to
Он
invite the
милостиво
Lord so
снизошел,
that He
и мы
mercifully
могли
comes,
бы приносить Ему
so
служение.
that we can serve Him.
Скажите, вот если личность, которая приглашает, возвышенная
person
личность,
who
которая
invites
приглашает Господа
Lord, the
снизойти,
Lord, to come down
с сильной мотивацией, с огромным желанием.
with great motivation and desire.
Когда Господь приходит
When the Lord
в
comes
эти божества,
in the
скажите, Его
deities, enters the
энергия
deities, His energy,
созвучна с энергией этой личности.
does
То есть
His energy kind of
ориентирована ли она
correspond in tune
каким-либо
with the energy
образом на
of
эту
that
личность?
person who invites.
Wait a minute. The energy of the inviter, for it to be successful,
Для того, чтобы он достиг успеха,
must be in tune with the invited,
как бы сочетаться с энергией Господа, который
not the other way
приглашает,
around.
наоборот.
That's the secret of the
Это
invitation.
вообще секрет приглашения.
Совершенно верно. То есть будут ли вот меня интересуют вот личности, которые в окружении этой личности возвышенной, которая приглашает его, да? Будет ли как бы они выделены Господом?
Oh, my
То
head is
есть преданные
spinning.
ученики этой личности возвышенной, как бы они будут ли вот выделены этой форме Господа, которая находится в божествах, будет ли она более снисходительна к ним?
He says that around this elevated person who invites the Lord might be others surrounding him, maybe his disciples or what. So will the energy of the Lord who appears by the invitation of this advanced person be in tune with those who surround?
Not necessarily.
Не обязательно.
We're all individuals, you know.
Мы же все люди.
Just because you're around somebody doesn't mean you're in tune with them.
Ведь если вы окружаете кого-то, то не означает, что вы в нем как бы соответствуете ему своими энергиями.
In fact, many times it's completely the opposite.
На самом деле, очень часто случается совсем наоборот.
Somebody may be in tune with
Может быть,
some external thing.
как бы энергии кого-то могут быть настроены на что-то внешнее.
Somebody may be in tune with something that they imagine even.
Кто-то может соответствовать тому, что он что-то представляет.
Somebody so powerful who can connect with the Lord that way hardly,
Очень могущественным, чтобы связаться с Господом таким образом.
usually very few can understand.
Очень, на самом деле, немногие могут понять.
Very few can even come close to being in tune with that
И
person.
очень многие даже не могут приблизиться к такому человеку.
That's just by definition.
Просто по определению так.
Because if everybody was in tune, then they could have done the same thing.
Все как бы
In harmony.
если многие были бы в гармонии с такими возвышенными людьми, то тогда бы сами бы они могли быть не такими возвышенными.
But they couldn't.
Но они не могут так сделать остальные. Что-то ладно.
Don't mind me, I gotta stand up, I'm a little...
Не возражайте, если я поставлю.
Громче, пожалуйста, громче. Ничего не слышно?
Вот сейчас.
Да.
Прежде всего я
First of all, I would like to say, I would like to express my gratitude
не
to
только за то,
Krishna,
что он делает сейчас,
not only
но вообще
for what he's doing now,
для меня.
but also what he has done for me.
У меня микрофон.
Thank you.
Вот. И могу я задать вопрос о
Can I
том,
ask a question
Sure.
Шаббат говорил не вчера, а позавчера.
about what you have said, not yesterday, but day before yesterday?
Sure.
Конечно.
Когда вы
When you
говорили о том, что кто может быть более квалифицирован для того, чтобы
who can
осознать
be
себя,
more
как
qualified to
на сами,
understand oneself,
than oneself.
Вы приводили пример
You brought the example
человека, которого
of a
травма
person
какая-то или
who has
болезнь,
trauma.
что кто не как он сам может чувствовать боль.
Who else than himself can feel his pain?
И я помню одну историю, когда
I remember
одна
a
личность
story
чувствовала боль другого, возможно, так же хорошо, как
felt another's pain as well
тот, кого
as good
кому причиняли боль.
as the
У
one
нее даже остались шрамы на спине.
better than the other one who was given pain to.
Yeah, sure, there's always exceptions to the rules. I mean, sure there are people who can do that too.
Всегда есть исключение из правила, всегда есть люди, которые такой именно случай, они
That's also true. I mean, it's just like a general principle I gave.
Это я говорил о принципе, о общем правиле.
Я просто хотел спросить, что вот это же не единственный случай, и это наводит меня на мысль, что возможно есть какие-то личности, не обязательно даже Верховный Господь, которые могут понять нас, если не лучше, не хуже, чем мы сами, ну хотя бы так же, как мы.
If not better than ourselves, but at least as to the same extent.
Yeah, there are, of course, all those living entities above us. Certainly, they can. They see better than we see even. But those persons, because they are superior, they also have a superior, shall we say, bedside manner. You know, the doctor, they know better not to interfere with us. Because they know if you just tell somebody, you're like this, they always reject it or they don't understand it. Therefore, such entities who are in a superior position always arrange it so that you will come to the realization about yourself. Because it is always a fact that no one can know you better than you. Even if someone else knows something about you, that knowing is not better than when you know about you. Because it's you. You are you. They are they. And therefore, you always know yourself better than someone else if you've got that full realization of yourself. That's not exactly the same point, but that's actually the point of the point.
Одному-то как-то скучновато и влом осознавать о себе. В компании был
in a company would be more interesting to realize oneself.
Yeah, that's true, but that company might be a tree. It might be a forest. It might be a horse. It might be a person, meaning human being. It might be higher than a human being. Because nobody lives alone. It's not possible. And besides, you've got Paramatma in your heart. You can never live alone. He won't let you.
Почему в Гауде вайшнавизме так подчеркивается важность инициации дикши и каким образом ученик с помощью духовного учителя достигает личной прайвы?
И в каком случае что?
И каким образом ученик с помощью духовного учителя достигает Кришны прайвы?
You know, in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Diksha is not stressed. That's just a modern thing which some people put in. You know, what is stressed is the reception of knowledge, which is shiksha. You know, before Srila Bhaktisiddhanta started giving Brahmin initiation,
стал давать браманскую инициацию,
there were no dikshas in Gaudiya Vaishnavism.
не было дикши в Гаудия Вайшнавизме.
And the only reason he started doing it was to prove that a Vaishnava is superior to a Brahmin,
Начал делать это, чтобы доказать, что Вайшнава выше Брамана.
which nowadays is completely irrelevant.
А сейчас это совершенно не актуально.
Because who cares about Brahmins in Russia?
Кого вообще волнует Брамана сейчас в России?
If you are wearing this string around your neck,
Если вы носите этот шнурок вокруг своей шеи,
people think you're nuts.
кто думает, что вы сумасшедший?
So it's not that just because you wear a string, people are now, and you are a Vaishnava thinking you're superior to a Brahmana. What do they care?
Вайшнавы, как все со шнуром, будут думать, что со шнуром, кто со шнуром выше. Им все равно.
And if you're superior, you're superior. You don't have to wear anything or do anything to show it.
Если вы выше, не надо ничего носить.
And usually one who's superior doesn't like to have other people, doesn't like to prove it to other people or push it upon other people. He likes other people to feel comfortable. Because when they feel comfortable, they learn best. And when they're in awe and reverence, they learn worse. Now, to get the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, that Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda gave, everybody can give it. Lord Chaitanya was so liberal about the thing of Guru, he said, Amar Agya Guru Hoy Tare Desh. Huh? He said, just go out and give everybody love of Godhead as Guru. He didn't make a big thing out of it. In Lord Chaitanya's time, those who were Brahmanas were born in Brahmana families. They didn't make a big thing out of it, and they were the ones who usually did the puja, deity worship. As far as educating, people generally sent their children to elevated Brahmanas who were great scholars, not just because they had the title of a Brahmana. In those days, people didn't care what your title was. They cared about your qualification. Now, the actual purpose of Guru is that he's a teacher. And that's it. He is not the Lord of your life. He is not the bank keeper of your money. He's not your psychologist or family counselor. He's not your doctor. He's not your manager. He's your teacher. But why do you only have to have one teacher? If when the learning process is very dynamic. Don't mind me standing like this, it's because my back hurts and I have an enormous headache and I'm trying to overcome it by standing up. So you can learn from all kinds of people. Huh? Let's say today I'm speaking. Tomorrow somebody else comes in and speaks. I can teach something. The other person can teach something. The other person can teach something. It does not matter whether they're male or female, young or old, any particular religion or not. If you learn something from them, there's a value to it. If you learn something which is valuable to you, there's a value to it. When you only learn from one person, it becomes a party. And even if that person said something wrong, said something which didn't make sense, said something which is damaging to you and others, you're stuck. And if you disagree with that one person's opinion, your spiritual life is finished, because you are a guru aparadi. This is a counterproductive philosophy. You take knowledge where you get it, which is the best knowledge for you, and you advance with it. Because guru means teacher. Teacher gives you knowledge. Teacher helps you understand how to get your own knowledge. Teacher helps you realize that which you need to know. Teacher gives you the tools of knowledge. Just like a parent does not proclaim absolute control over their child throughout the lives of their children. The goal of the parent is to give the child the tools by which the child can become themselves a fully mature, adult, stable, and progressive in life. And the parent stands back and applauds the child's development. Or just feels bad that the child didn't develop so good. That's what teacher is. Somebody who does not get in the way of your development. Doesn't get in the way of your development. Is not in the way. Is not an obstacle to your development. Is somebody who simply lets you develop and gives you all the help that teacher can give you to help you develop the best you can. And if, specifically in spiritual life, if the teacher stands between you and the Lord and is somehow or another an obstacle in your connection to the Lord, well, then that teacher is doing the very thing which that teacher was supposed to not do, which was to give you the capacity to connect with the God. Therefore, I'm a bit rebellious on this point. In Lord Chaitanya's time, the gurus never stood between you and Lord Chaitanya. They never demanded that they are always there for eternity between you and God. They never demanded or even implied that you are their eternal servants. Now, sometimes Vaishnava acharyas wrote songs to their spiritual masters where they expressed such sentiments. But that doesn't mean that's the absolute truth. It's simply their sentiment. If you take somebody's sentiment and turn it into the absolute philosophy, then you are making a big mistake. And it becomes very dangerous. Especially when such sentiments cause you personal or others personal difficulties. In Lord Chaitanya's time, there were many teachers. And all of the devotees were learning from all those teachers. They, of course, had the one who maybe initiated them or maybe helped them or whatever. And certainly, in the Indian tradition, there was that feeling of being the servant of that person. But these gurus were so magnanimous, they never took that so seriously. They said, go to this one and learn that, go to that one and learn this. This was going on all the time in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. They were constantly sending those who came to them to others. Because they knew, well, I don't know everything about this particular thing. Go over there, you know. It was much more natural, much more free, much more real, and not exploitative. So, what was the question I'm answering?
The question was about the tradition of Guru, that only Krishna Prema could be received.
Okay, that's another point. Receiving Krishna Prema through the Guru. Now, if a Guru is really powerful, and he's really got Krishna, to be quite frank, he's really got Radha and Krishna. Because if he only has Krishna, he doesn't have Krishna. Because you can't have Krishna without Radha. And that's something which Gaudiya Vaishnavism teaches very strictly. So if that powerful person actually is in contact with Radha and Krishna, then it's quite possible he can give that contact to you too. If you do all of that, making yourself qualified, like we talked about yesterday. Or if he's so incredibly powerful, like some of Lord Chaitanya's associates, who I love to give the example, the breeze went by them, and if you felt the breeze, you became Krishna conscious. Then even if you're not qualified in that respect, they just make you qualified. But even such persons do not make persons qualified who refuse to be so. Who's more qualified than Lord Nityananda? Who's more powerful than Lord Nityananda? But look at Ramchandra Khan. He tried, Haridas Thakur. Take both, Haridas Thakur and Lord Nityananda. Ramchandra Khan was envious of Haridas Thakur. And he made offenses against Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur, he was so powerful. Then Lord Nityananda came to the house of Ramchandra Khan later on. Even when Lord Nityananda is standing in his house, this man refused to accept any connection with Lord Nityananda. So simply coming in contact with a powerful personality is not sufficient. You have to accept it. No matter how you slice it, you have to accept it. Now, if you are in contact with such a personality as a disciple or whatever, generally you will come to that platform of receiving the connection. This, of course, leads to problems. Sometimes people say, this person is the supreme, powerful devotee on the planet. But then one looks at the followers of such a person, and they're not very advanced. So that brings us either one of two problems. The first problem, which most people would rather look at, is that the students are not qualified to connect to that supreme power of that person. But the problem with that point of view is that person is not a good enough teacher to train his students. If he's not that good a teacher to do it, then he's not very good at being a guru, because guru means teacher. So that's a problem. The other problematic answer is, well, maybe that person wasn't what you thought. Both answers cause pain in the heart. The actual answer, according to my opinion, is that teachers are meant to give you the tools by which you can connect to the Lord. There is no blanket formula by which that can happen. Therefore, every one of us are individual, and we need some individual means by which this can happen. It is not totally dependent on accepting formulas put into our lives. It is very much dependent on it coming out of ourselves. Whether or not the person who teaches you is powerful or not. After all, the forest can teach you how to do that. And you don't find those powerful people there. Therefore, I personally feel that this whole, predominating idea, which is constantly pushed out, that everything depends on the guru, is false. And it's also not the Vedic conclusion. Certainly there are some statements about it, but to take those statements and then amplify them as the whole key, even if somebody said it, even if some great acharya said it, is a mistake, because when you analyze it in the reality where a whole couple of generations of people have simply been taught this and nothing else, you see it does not work. You judge something by its result. And if you look deep within the hearts, so many thousands of people came into such an idea, and so many thousands of people left. And where is that idea in them now? Maybe there's a sentiment, but as far as the actual feeling, they don't have it. So I'm not going to say that you don't get such power of love of Godhead from some powerful personality, because in some cases it is possible if you're qualified to receive it. But the general rule is that it's hard to find such people in the first place, and it's not that everybody on earth is going to go to such people. And therefore, if you just keep on developing, keep on working, keep on learning, and you learn the energetic art of connecting with the Lord, you'll surely get to the goal. And if in the meantime you happen to by accident bump into someone who can just poof, give you love of Godhead, hey, пожалуйста. We're not gonna say no. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? What do you think?
I think it makes a lot of sense.
You know, it's not like I'm trying to put down gurus. That's not my point. But what I'm trying to do is to get this absolute conception of the infallibility of a perfect person out of the atmosphere. The only infallible perfect person is the Supreme. Again, here, because Lord Brahma once, billions of years ago, simply chased his daughter with a desire. Since after that, people think, why should we worship him? And yet the same people will worship a person who throughout his life made millions of mistakes, like everybody does. Do you realize what kind of insane minds we have? Now, I'm not talking about anybody in particular. It's just that every human being makes tons of mistakes. Making mistakes is not your disqualification. It is actually the way you learn what to do right. Right, you know. Or what works best. Therefore, I think everybody should go and beg forgiveness to Lord Brahma for even thinking like that. Anyway, I'm on a campaign to straighten out certain things, but that doesn't mean it's so important. Remember, I told you when I first came here, take everything I say as my opinion. If there's something that I say that makes sense to you, take it. If you want. If there's something I say doesn't make sense, you don't like it, don't take it. Don't worry about it. Don't be guilty. And don't feel guilty either for agreeing, if it makes sense. I'll always tell you again and again, what's most important is what you realize. It doesn't matter what I realize. For you, it does not matter. It's what matters is what you realize. Because you are the most important person. At least here.
Учитель учит, но учит ли, обучает, в процессе обучения, учится ли сам учитель?
But in the process of teaching, does the
Растет
teacher
ли,
itself
совершенствуется?
learns?
Oh yes, oh yes.
И каким образом это может проявляться в наших условиях?
That can be seen in our situation, in our circumstances, and in the present days.
What does that mean?
А что это означает в наших условиях?
Я имею в виду наше движение.
In our movement.
What movement?
Какого движения?
Движение сознания Кришны.
Krishna consciousness.
I don't have any movement.
У меня нет никакого движения.
Хорошо. Вообще учитель учится, сам учитель в процессе
Just the first part of the question. The teacher teaches that he also learn. Does he also learn in the process of teaching?
Yeah, sure. Everything's dynamic, you know.
Все динамично, конечно.
Knowledge is a dynamic thing.
Знание это тоже динамичная вещь.
As you give it, you also listen to what you're saying.
Когда вы даете что-то, вы тоже
And sometimes you listen to what you're saying and you go,
вы слушаете то, что говорится, и думаете,
nah, No, that's not right.
Это неправильно.
But then you may not understand why it's not right.
Но вы, может быть, не понимаете этот момент.
And sometimes when you're discussing another point, then the realization of exactly why it's not right comes to you.
Вдруг приходит понимание, почему это было неправильно.
Because knowledge is a dynamic thing.
Знание — это вещь динамичная.
Realization is a dynamic thing.
И реализация — это тоже динамичная вещь.
And similarly, when you're speaking about a certain point in a certain way, which even opens your own gates of perception about it, you can realize a lot by just teaching others. Because everything is a learning process. Because life is a learning process. Whether you're teaching or learning, it's a learning process. Why'd you ask?
Потому что привыкли считать, что учимся только мы, а наши учителя, они совершенно абсолютно.
Because we kind of used to think that those who are learning, that's us, and our teachers are perfect.
You know, that's just a theory.
Это просто теория.
What is perfect?
А что такое совершенное?
Everybody's different.
Все отличаются друг от друга.
If somebody's the best he can be,
Если человек является как бы настолько совершенным, насколько он может быть,
that's the best for him.
то это вот и есть самое лучшее для него.
What is perfect anyway?
Что значит совершенное? Что это означает?
We create this concept of perfection and put it on a pedestal.
Мы создали это понятие как совершенства и поместили это на пьедестал.
If there's something in it for us,
Если там есть что-то для нас,
we see people as perfect.
то как бы мы видим людей совершенно.
By blinding ourselves to their imperfection.
Просто закрывая свои глаза на их несовершенство.
Or by surrounding ourselves with a bunch of apologists who are constantly explaining how the imperfection is perfection.
Окружая себя последователями, которые постоянно объясняют, как несовершенство является совершенством.
There is no such thing as that perfection.
Нет такого понятия, как совершенство.
Can you imagine the wonderful demigods?
Можете представить себе полубогов?
And you're always using them as an example of imperfection?
Мы постоянно приводим как пример несовершенства.
And then you take somebody from this world and put them to the platform of perfection? That shows that we create that perfection because we want to follow that perfection. Just like when you want to love somebody. So, you know, you blind yourself to their qualities. And you think of them as the most beautiful, perfect, absolutely greatest, you know. And then after a while, we realize that it's not so. We talked ourselves into that situation because we want it. That's why some atheistic people say that God is a creation of man's need for a perfect being. To justify the imperfection in this world and giving us a chance to get out of the imperfection to the perfection. It's the same feeling because people are aware that you love to glorify some figurehead. You love to glorify a figurehead. Figurehead means some person that you idolize. You read my Vyas Puja books. If you read my Vyas Puja books, you will see, without a shadow of the doubt, that I descended from Goloka Vrindavan. I am 24 hours a day meditating on the lotus feet of Radha Madhava. I am totally freed from any material desire or contamination. I am the most expert person, capable of doing the most impossible accomplishments. And the person who wrote the offering is so lucky to be my eternal servant. Then comes, a period of time, and then all of a sudden, I'm a lusty dog, a total blasphemer and fool. I'm totally against all Vaishnava traditions. I'm a guru aparadi. I'm the cause of all the problems in these various regions. I ruined everything. Not only just because I left, but what I did in the past. And we now have to bring in more GBCs to save the situation from that evil empire. I rest my case. And at the end of the court case, when the defense says, I rest my case, I'm finished with my case, you judge yourself. We just create these images. And when we want, we destroy these images. This is not reality. You have to get to a balanced situation where you see things as it is. Of course, there's no absolute vision in any case. But you have to see things as it is best in relationship to you. Maybe that was a little surprising revelation. This poor guy here has been sitting here with his hand up.
What is the difference between self-actualization and that when we just simply understand our nature and act accordingly?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me an even better question, which was... yeah.
Какова разница между самоактуализацией и тем, что мы просто распознаем свою природу и действуем в соответствии с ней?
Okay, I thought you were going to ask me a really nifty question, like what's the difference between self-actualization and self-realization?
Я думал, вы спросите какой-то на самом деле такой каверзный вопрос, вроде как какая разница между самоактуализацией и самореализацией.
But anyway, I'll answer that anyway because I asked it myself. But to answer your question, remember I spoke before about anything which simply causes you to act on the platform where you are now is not self-actualization. It's simply the first step. Or rather, the second step. The first step is to stop acting from a platform where you're not. An artificial platform based on what you think you should be because someone told you that. So the first step is to stop acting what you're not. The second step is to figure out what you are. The third step is to act according to ways which are compatible with what you are.
Действует таким образом, который как бы сочетается именно с тем, каким вы сами являетесь.
And simultaneously understand what your potential is,
Каков ваш потенциал?
which is what you really are.
Это именно как бы то, кем вы на самом деле являетесь.
When we talked about the third step of acting according to what you are, it really means
Когда вы действуете так, каким вы являетесь,
acting according to what you have become at that point in time.
это как бы означает, что вы действуете в соответствии с тем, кем вы стали как бы на тот момент времени.
And self-actualization means to act according to what you can be according to your potential.
Как бы действовать так, каким вы как бы можете стать в соответствии со своими потенциальными возможностями.
There's a big difference between acting according to what you have become
Вы действуете так, каким вы сейчас являетесь,
and what you could be.
и когда вы действуете так в соответствии с тем, каким вы можете быть.
But unless you act according to what you've become, you can never get to the point of acting to what you could be.
Так, в соответствии с тем, каким вы сейчас являетесь, вы никогда не сможете действовать так, в соответствии с тем, каким вы можете быть потенциально.
It is not possible to act according to what you are not and then get to the stage of what you could be.
Невозможно сначала действовать в соответствии с тем, каким вы не являетесь, да, а потом резко вдруг действовать в соответствии с тем, каким вы можете быть.
If you act according to what you are not, you don't have the capacity to understand yourself sufficiently
Так, каким вы являетесь, как бы,
to therefore go forward and act according to what you can be.
понять то, что необходимо для того, чтобы продвигаться в направлении того, каким вы можете быть.
Because if you actually understood yourself, you wouldn't act according to what you're not.
Потому что если бы вы поняли себя, на самом деле вы бы не стали действовать вопреки тому, каким вы на самом деле являетесь.
Was that clear?
Это понятно, да?
Sudadani's frowning like mad. It wasn't clear, was it? Yeah? Okay. Now, when you are at the point of
Когда вы находитесь как бы
understanding your potential,
когда вы уже готовы понять свой потенциал,
at this point, the question is what is the difference between self-actualization and self-realization becomes very important.
очень важным становится вопрос, какая разница между самоактуализацией и самореализацией.
Self-realization is way down the line. It's way. Self-actualization brings you to the door of self-realization.
Это как бы то, что подводит вас к самореализации.
So that you can open the door and realize yourself fully.
Чтобы вы могли открыть дверь и осознать себя полностью.
But when you come to the point of actually understanding your full potential,
Понимание своего потенциала,
developing that full potential,
развитие этого потенциала,
coming very deeply into your basic, primal, and most fundamental qualities.
своим как бы основным фундаментальным качеством.
When you understand yourself in relationship to others,
как бы в отношениях с другими,
when you understand yourself in relationship to love,
как бы себя в отношении как бы любви,
and you can understand yourself in relationship to higher entities in the universe,
и понимаете себя в отношениях с высшими живыми существами во Вселенной,
which means your potential relationship with the creation,
как бы это означает свои потенциальные отношения ко всей Вселенной, или к всему
which
творению.
very much affects what you are
Это очень сильно влияет на то, какой вы.
and is very much part of what you are.
И это очень большая часть того, что как бы, кем вы являетесь.
You don't stand alone.
Вы же не один.
You are part of this
Вы
universe.
же часть этой Вселенной.
And realizing your position in relation to the universe
Осознание своего положения в отношениях со Вселенной
is essential for realization of yourself.
очень важно для реализации осознания себя.
Therefore, self-actualization leads directly into self-realization,
Прямо ведет к самореализации.
and self-realization is definitely the topmost part of self-actualization.
И, несомненно, самореализация является высшей частью самоактуализации.
Well, then you might say, why a new name?
Сказать, зачем тогда новое название?
Because, same reason as with the guru thing.
Это вот по той же самой причине, как и вот этот вопрос о гуру.
The words self-realization are abused.
Самореализация, слово самореализация было полностью как бы им злоупотребляли.
And not only that, they do not give the detail how you'll get there. It's simply a theory.
Слово как бы не объясняет в деталях, как достичь этого, это просто теория.
And as you might have noticed, I have declared rebellion against theories.
Как бы объявил, восстал против, как бы я восстал против теории.
I want reality,
Я хочу реальность.
realization.
Осознание.
I don't want to talk about love.
Я не хочу говорить о любви.
I want love.
Я хочу любви.
I don't want to talk about connection to
Я
God.
не хочу говорить о связи.
I want connection to
Я
God.
хочу связи с Богом.
I'm not going to talk about being your servant
Я не хочу говорить о том, чтобы быть вашим слугой.
while all the time I'm acting as your master.
А в то время как все время действую как ваш хозяин.
I'm not going to call you Prabhu
Я не собираюсь называть вас Прабху,
when I mean dog.
когда имею в виду на самом деле собака.
I want reality here.
Я хочу реальности.
And therefore, self-realization,
Поэтому самореализация
it's a great phrase.
это великая замечательная фраза.
Unfortunately,
Но, к несчастью,
you know, so are phrases like, you know, the communist mottos.
это как бы фраза наподобие коммунистических лозунгов.
That just doesn't work.
Это не работает.
And it's got such a bad name,
И у этого слова
considering the way it's been misused,
из-за того, что им так злоупотребили.
and it also was never understood.
И еще более того, этого никто никогда и не понял.
It's another house that needs to be torn down and start from the foundation up.
Это на самом деле еще одно здание, которое нужно сравнять с землей и начать с фундамента.
Again, that's just my opinion.
Это просто мое мнение.
Take it or leave it, I don't care.
Понимаете,
I hope you take it because it'll make me feel like I'm worth something.
я надеюсь, что вы помните, потому что тогда мне я буду чувствовать, что я что-то стою.
Everybody wants to feel like they're worth something.
Все же хотят чувствовать, что они что-то стоят.
I want to feel wanted.
Мне хочется чувствовать...
Talking to the mic, please.
Мне хочется чувствовать, что я нужен.
I want to feel needed.
Мне хочется знать, что кто-то во мне нуждается.
But if you don't want me, you don't need me,
Хотите меня, не нуждаетесь во мне.
I'm not going to lose sleep about it.
Я, конечно, не утрачу сон из-за этого.
Maybe 5 minutes.
Может, на 5 минут.
If that happens, I'll ask Tridandi to cook some more, and Tridandi and Acharya, they can cook some more samosas, you know, then I'll sleep real
Если это
good.
случится, тогда я попрошу Триданди, он приготовит побольше самоса, тогда я хорошо буду спать.
Okay, this is the last question.
Последний вопрос.
Во-первых,
First of all,
Я хотел задать вопрос, но у меня по ходу сразу же возник еще один. Или комментарий. Во-первых, я не знаю, за других я очень нуждаюсь у вас.
I don't know about others, but I personally need you.
Personally, what?
Need you.
Hmm.
I don't know about others, but I need you.
И еще у меня была мечта, 9 лет я мечтал как-то с вами непосредственно встретиться и поговорить обо всем, что накипело на душе. Может, это чудо когда-нибудь произойдет, я не хотел говорить при всех, но мне трудно вас найти так, без охраны.
Anyway, here, you can talk.
Можете сейчас говорить.
У меня много чего сказать.
How can I help? How can I help?
Как я могу помочь?
Да вы уже помогли. До этого у меня вообще-то был вопрос, я хотел спросить, а New Age, есть такое движение или учение?
New Age movement, probably you heard something about it.
Но вы наверняка об этом слышали, что это такое вкратце?
Could you shortly explain what it is?
New Age is a name.
Как это переводится?
It's hello?
I'm asking if there is a Russian translation or they use the New Age word. I don't know.
I don't know.
New Age это что-то современное. Ну, я буду говорить, это, я слышал, что пользуются этим New Age, так говорят, используется термин.
Okay, so New Age is just a name.
Это просто название New Age.
If you examine it, you'll see it could mean practically anything.
Это практически означает все, что угодно.
But what it basically refers to is that which is different than that which was before.
Как бы к чему это имеет отношение? Они обычно имеют в виду то, что отличается от того, что было до этого.
People are trying to do things in a new and better way to advance consciousness.
Новыми способами лучше, чем это было раньше, чтобы как бы развить сознание.
But the funny thing is, the more and more we try to do new, the closer and closer we're coming to what is or was and will always be.
Тем больше мы приближаемся к тому, что всегда было и есть и будет.
Now, of course, there's an awful lot of illusory things
Очень много иллюзорных вещей
in what you might call New Age.
в том, что вы можете назвать New Age.
There's also a lot of illusory things in all kinds of traditional spirituality too.
Кстати, и иллюзорных вещей в том, что является традиционной духовностью.
But there are good points.
Но там есть много хорошего.
There are some amazing books
Там
written.
есть замечательные книги
There's absolutely gorgeous music.
и совершенно удивительная музыка.
There's some which is not so gorgeous, but
Некоторые не очень-то и замечательные.
there's some music which is just so heavenly, I just float away.
Музыка настолько райская, что я даже просто улетаю с ней.
There are some books which are so beautifully written
Замечательно написано, что
that you just love to share them with yourself.
как бы читать их и обогащаться ими.
So, again, some is good for some people, some is good for other people. You know,
Что-то может быть оказывается хорошо для кого-то, а что-то другое может быть хорошо для кого-то другого.
pick and choose.
Так что выбирайте сами.
But, as I said in the very beginning,
Я уже говорил раньше,
when you have seen the truth, you see it everywhere.
если вы увидели истину однажды, то вы будете вести ее везде.
If you have not seen the truth,
Если вы не видели истину,
it sometimes is very difficult to find your way through
то
The-
порой очень трудно найти
various
путь
networks of pathways
сквозь как бы вот эти вот сети
to get there,
лабиринтов, как добраться до этого,
because they all always crisscross.
потому что они все пересекаются.
Now, when I talk about truth, I am not talking about just a good philosophy.
Я не просто имею в виду какую-то хорошую философию.
That's not what I mean by truth.
Это не то, что я понимаю под словом истина.
Simply a good philosophy is just that. It's in the mind.
Это то, что находится в уме.
What we want,
А то, что мы хотим,
and actually which is really, I think, the overriding theme of what you want to call New Age,
и это как бы то, что на самом деле является основной темой того, что сейчас называется New Age,
is feeling.
то это эмоции, ощущения.
Our society has lost its capacity to feel.
Общество потеряло свою способность чувствовать.
And I'm not talking about if it feels good, do it philosophy.
Я не имею в виду философию, если нравится делать.
I'm not talking about just feeling gross sensations of enjoyment.
Не имею в виду вот эти грубые как бы чувства наслаждения.
I'm talking about feeling higher levels of love and the whole cornucopia of emotions which surrounds love. You know this big cone thing that comes out like this and all these things are flowing out of it, you know?
Fluid? Of what?
Cornucopia of emotions which flow from that love.
Эмоции, которые проистекают от этой любви.
That is something real.
Это вот что-то действительно реальное.
And that is what the whole thing is really about.
И, в общем-то, весь этот New Age, это вот как раз вот этого и касается.
Because everybody wants realization.
Потому что все хотят реализации сознания.
Everybody wants to feel it,
Все хотят почувствовать что-то.
not just think about it.
Не просто думать об этом.
Not just talk about
И
it.
не просто говорить об этом.
They want to feel it.
Они хотят чувствовать это.
Otherwise, it doesn't mean much.
А в противном случае все это ничего не значит.
And therefore,
И поэтому
I think people are very eager to embrace
мне кажется, что людям
any
нравится
particular advanced
принимать
methodology or
любую
presentation
методологию или хорошие,
which helps them feel it, what they want.
которая помогает им почувствовать именно то, что они хотят.
Is that okay?
Ну как?
Okay, I quit.
Всё. На этом.
Okay, Harataka, she played such a nice song. She can make
Поскольку она так замечательно сыграла.
She can make the last, absolute last, positively, no more questions after this question.
Определенно последний и никаких больше вопросов к вопросу.
Дорогой Шришнапад, на самом деле я играю так, потому что мне почему-то кажется, что вы это играете, потому что бывает так, что у меня бывает чувство, что у меня нет этого, конечно, сказать. Я играю, потому что вас вижу.
I feel that I play well, inspired when I see.
И я хотела такой задать вопрос.
I would like to ask a question.
В вашей лекции вы сказали,
Once
что
in
человек
your
должен
lecture you said
научиться
that
любить
one
себя.
has to learn to love oneself.
И научиться любить себя таким, как он есть.
To love oneself the way he is.
И происходит, и вы сказали очень
You said
удивительную
that- you
вещь,
said
которая
very
написана
wonderful
в
thing.
каких эзотерических, психологических книгах.
Which is explained in some
У
esoteric
Хей
books.
и у Барбары,
Is
правильно?
some Barbara, I don't
Вы
know.
сказали о том, что человек, который
You
принимает
said
себя
that one who
таким, какой он
accepts
есть, и
oneself
даже
as he is,
не имея определенных, может
even
быть, возвышенных каких-то
having
качеств,
no
он открывает каналы,
he opens
энергию
the
для того,
channels
чтобы привлечь свою половину.
to energy
И
to
таким
attract
образом,
his half.
осознавая, потому что
Yeah. I said that yesterday too. Yeah, it's
Я
true.
вчера об этом говорил, да.
и это удивительная сенсация для всех, я думаю,
This is
каждого,
a
потому что
kind of
каждый хочет быть
sensation
счастливым и хочет иметь,
for
в конце концов,
everybody
рядом свою
who wants to
половину.
have his half next to him.
И поскольку мы имеем
And because
недостатки,
we have
мы будем иметь эти
discrepancies,
недостатки,
and we will
потому
have
что
those discrepancies.
наша половина является нашим достатком,
Because our half
который
is
мы никак
what
не
makes our
проявим в себе,
discrepancies,
потому что замыкаемся на своих
neutralizes our
недостатках.
discrepancies.
Мы очень комплексуем на своих недостатках
We
и
are very
закрываются
much
каналы,
confused about
теряется
our
той энергии,
discrepancies and closing up
которой нам не
channels
хватает,
of the
которой
energy
нам не достает.
which we are missing.
И у меня возник вопрос,
So my question is
правда ли я понимаю, правильно я понимаю,
that
что если человек, он
when
наконец поймет, что даже будучи
one
имея
finally
недостатки, он является
understands
частью
that
полного
even
целого,
though
потому что он
he has
является
discrepancies, he is
частью
part
Кришны,
of
иерархии
the whole,
Рада с Кришной,
because everybody
они
is part of
полное
Radha
целое,
Krishna.
но они из двух частиц. То есть
Radha and
Рада и
Krishna are
Кришна.
full, but they are
Также
also
и мы
from,
являемся
they
частичками,
consist
но
of two
полными
parts.
частичками, может быть,
We are
в
also
количественном
spiritual parts.
отношении отличаемся.
We are only
Но
quantitatively,
имея женскую и мужскую
quantitatively
форму, мы
different.
также имеем
And we have
какую-то часть, то
spiritual
есть
form.
мы части
We are part
нашего же полного целого.
of our whole
И пока мы
spiritual
не
whole.
встретим эту часть свою,
Unless we meet our part, we will not be perfect and will not be happy.
И правильно я поняла, что
Is it
как
correct
только
that
мы принимаем себя таким,
as soon as we accept
даже с
ourselves
недостатками,
as we are,
какие мы есть,
even
мы
though having discrepancies,
начинаем развивать любовь к себе
we start developing love towards ourselves.
и не критикуем себя,
And
научаемся
not, we
любить
don't
себя.
criticize ourselves and love ourselves.
Well, what's the question? What's the question?
Вопрос в том, что правильно ли
It's not that I'm trying to stop her from talking, but you know, I can't catch the question, so I can't figure out what to say.
Остановить вас на своей... просто хочу пытаться понять, что вы имеете в виду.
Ну, у меня много вопросов в контексте
I have
вот
many
этих, и я
questions
подумала, что
in
правильно, когда
along
мы
this question.
изучаем, когда мы открываем канал,
What's the basic thing you want to know?
Как бы основную вещь, что ты хочешь узнать, основное.
In 2 sentences.
двух как бы предложениях, если можно.
Правильно ли я понимаю, что человек, он не встретит никогда свою половину только до тех пор, пока он не принимает себя как личность, даже если он имеет.
Well, I think I gave a little bit more detailed or larger description of what's required to create that favorable circumstance. Now, accepting yourself as you are is certainly required. Feeling comfortable with yourself is also required. Being aware of what you've got to do better is also required. But they are not the real point. The real point is you have to come in contact with your energy. That which is in your heart. So long as you don't accept yourself and all these things, you block off that energy. Therefore, it's an important thing to do, to accept yourself. Even that means you see your faults. You just push that away now, that you don't consider that anymore. Then you concentrate on really coming in contact with your own energy without all these external things fogging up the atmosphere. And then, when your energy is purely yours, without all these external things on it, it's quite spiritual. Because you're spiritual. And your energy is spiritual. And then at that point, you can just walk out your front door and you can call into the atmosphere, I am here. This is me. If you want to be with this energy of me, please come. But then you'd better be ready for what walks in the door. It's not that you use this whole idea as a means to put your energy on somebody specific. Okay, you, that's my energy. I gotcha.
How does one actually feel that this energy is nearby?
Which? One's own? You'll know the other's energy is nearby when it knocks on your door or calls on your phone. Writes you a letter or bumps into you. And you just let it happen. And then just think about it. And you can tell if it's right for you by just letting your energy go to that person's energy.
Вы сможете почувствовать, правильно это или нет, просто если позволите вашей энергии течь по направлению к этой личности.
And then feeling what the result of the mixture is.
И потом вы как бы будете чувствовать результат вот этой вот связи или этой вот смеси, что ли, этих энергий.
And if it feels real good,
И если это будет на самом деле хорошее ощущение,
go for it.
тогда идите на это.
And if it doesn't feel real good,
если это будет не очень хорошее ощущение,
be woman enough to say,
тогда нужно быть
it's not right.
Как бы достаточно смелым, чтобы сказать женщине, достаточно.
Even if it's in a real cute package. Even if it's in a real cute package.
Это очень такой хороший, как бы, пакет, или пакет, упаковка.
That's it. Tomorrow? Aren't you sick of me yet?
Вы что, не устали от меня еще?
That means you got a problem.
Значит, у вас проблема.
If I were sitting out there listening to all this, I'd be sick of me.
Сидел на нашем месте, слушал все это, я, наверное, уже устал. Мне все надоело.
But maybe I've got higher ideals than you.
Может, у меня более высокие идеалы, чем у вас.
I'm looking for a really,
You know,
a real dream to follow. What about tomorrow? Oh, I don't know. I was thinking I was going to just take a break tomorrow, but... What do you think?
Well, it seems like they really want to hear. I think we should.
Yeah, but are you guys learning anything or what? You're just having fun. No, I asked, are you doing this or that? Yes is not an answer. And having fun. Both. That's a good answer. When I came down here, I had such a headache. I still have a headache. But I don't care about it. I don't know.